Hello and welcome back. This is a very interesting question that somebody asked me a long time ago. Is Palauan a very difficult language to learn? And my question back at him is, what is difficult? If you compare it with, say, Russian or Arabic, it might not be as complex in terms of grammar, but there are some interesting features that make it different from Malay or Tagalog or Polynesian languages. Let's take a look. So, these are all the different forms of the verb, the word to eat or food. So that's the same root. It's like ka'en or something like that in Proto-Austronesian. This is the kan in makan in Indonesian and Malay. The word, the ka'in or ka'un in Philippine language, the kai in Polynesian languages. Let's see what it looks like in Palauan. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different sentences. James is eating the fish. James was eating the fish. James ate up the fish and finished it. And the chicken is about to eat the rice. Okay, let's look at these interesting sentences. In the first sentence, a James a mengarang ngirel. So you've got the word menga, which is eating, to be eating. In the present tense, it's an ongoing process. The same sentence in the past tense would be like, a James a milanga rangirel. So in this case, the past tense is now milanga. So you see the root. They have some like a nga at the end that maybe might be the root, right? But let's take a look at the what's called the perfective form of the verb. So it means like the process was completely finished up. If you're studying Russian or an Eastern European language, a very similar process happens. They've got words are distinguished between sort of actions that are being in the process and actions that are completed. So if I say James ate up the fish, he finished it completely. It's a James a kili a ngirel. So the word ate up is kili in this context, ate it or ate it up. And if you say the chicken is about to eat the rice, sort of like an ongoing process in the very near future, amal ka koli a beras. So koli. So you've got 4 different forms of the verb to eat. Manga, milanga, kili, koli. Okay, so how do they look the same? You tell me, right? But they come from the same root. And let's look at some more interesting examples, like this one. So he's going to eat up the sashimi. So kemang sashimi. So we have the word kemang, which is the word for to eat. He's going to eat. Engkila sashimi. He was eating the sashimi, so pieces of it, like a few pieces of something. And James a omagara bili. So James is feeding Billy, omaga. And angilka klang. Angilka klang, which means the fish is eaten, or has been eaten. So you've got like how many different forms? Kamang, kila, omaga, klang. Like they all mean to eat, but in different ways. So if you compare it with with Malay, we just say makan, and there are forms of it, but it doesn't change as much. In Palauan, there's a lot of changes, especially for verbs, in different tenses. And there's actually a reason why this happens. It's not because the language is not logical. It is logical, but it has what we call, it's undergone a lot of interesting sound changes. And we'll take a look at some of the examples. So you see, the different forms of the verb to eat all come from the same root. So you have menga, milanga, koli, kili, kema, kila, omaka, kaka, and kla, and things like that. They're all related. And also the word for food is kal, which is related to kainin in Tagalog, something to be eaten. Kainin, or in Malay, makan. The kan and in kal in Palauan is actually the same, comes from the same root. So what is going on? Why are there so many different forms and they look so different? A lot of these forms are actually because of sound changes. Like, these basic forms often exist in other languages. Malay has some of these forms. Tagalog, especially Philippine languages, have almost identical forms. It's just that Palauan has gone through a lot more changes in pronunciation. If you compare it with European languages, this will be like maybe French. In French, the word aqua in Latin became eau. So, it because of, again, sound changes. So this is what happened. Let's take a look at some examples. So I'm showing you this example. The word for to eat or food is kal. You never find it, you never see it as kal. It always changes into something else. So when you say it in the present tense, it's something like menga. It's like meng and the kal, and you drop the K and drop the L in the present tense. The past tense is the same, but you put the il inside. This is the same as in, the infix in Tagalog, in a lot of Philippine languages, so like kina in, that kind of, the in, so this is milanga was eating. So you see that these sort of changes happening all over the place. There's another example, the word for to have eaten or to eat something up. It really has a lot of complicated changes. You put a prefix, a ma, you put a pronoun at the end, e, he, she, or it, to eat it, and then it goes through a lot of interesting changes. The K and the M switch places, and then it becomes an O, and you have koli, and then the past tense, kili, because again of the same process. So these are some of the things that we'll look at over the next few videos. I will stop it here for now. If this is too much, I think you will find this very, very interesting. I find it Palauan is probably the most interesting language in the Austronesian family for me, because again of all these sound changes, it's actually not very different from Philippine languages or from some forms of some of the languages spoken in Borneo, for example. It's actually quite close. The difference is primarily due to phonology. There's all these complicated sound changes that happened that made the words sort of like opaque. It's harder to decipher which root this comes from. But a lot of the verbs and nouns are actually the same. We'll take a look at more of this over the next few weeks. All right, thank you, and bye for now.